Hi, fifth grade. Happy Friday. Let's go ahead and get started. Today is Friday, April 3rd, 2020, and our joke of the day is, why did the farmer plant a seed in his pond? All right, and he did that because he was trying to grow a watermelon. Get it? Water, pond. Anyway, so it's Friday. It's our last day of the week. Before you get to go enjoy your weekend, week 2, lesson 5 is what we are on. So let's go ahead and look at that objective. And our objective is I can add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals to hundredths. Okay, so looking at the daily fluency, we did this a couple days ago, I'm pretty sure. So you have to complete the following multiplication and division fact families. All right, so if you look at the first example, they said 40 times 3 is 120, and then they went on to say 3 times 40 is 120, 120 divided by 40 is 3, and 120 divided by 3 is 40. Okay, so looking at A, you should have written, they gave you 30 times 5 equals 150. You should have written 5 times 30 equals 150. 150 divided by 30 equals 5, and 150 divided by 5 equals 30. Remember, if you haven't done this yet, please pause the video and go ahead and do that first, and then go over it with me, all right? Because I know you guys can do this. So this isn't something that we can really work through together. I'm just going to give you the answers, okay? B is 20 times 6 equals 120. So I wrote 6 times 20 equals 120. 120 divided by 20 equals 6, and 120 divided by 6 equals 20. Okay, on C, they gave us 40 times 7 equals 280. So I wrote 7 times 40 equals 280. 280 divided by 40 equals 7. And 280 divided by 7 equals 40. All right, so then you had to look at the bottom situations, use rounding and estimation to answer each question yes or no without doing all the calculations. All right, so on problem A, you should have gotten yes. On problem B, you should have gotten no. On problem C, you should have circled no. And on problem D, you should have circled yes. Okay, so that is our fluency for today. So go ahead and go down to where it says daily task. And the directions say estimate the product, solve using an area model, and the standard algorithm. Remember to express your products in standard form. So I'll be flexible here. If you did one strategy or the other, that's fine. So let's just start with the estimation. All right, so I know that you guys may have forgotten how to do the area model, so if you just did the standard algorithm, that's totally fine. I know the area model is something that we learned, but you don't always use it all the time, so I totally understand if you kind of forgot that, but we'll go over it. So the first problem says 22 times 2 4/10. Okay, and we need to estimate that first. All right, so I'm going to keep my 22 the same, all right? And I'm going to say, all right, so 22, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. So, actually, I'm going to go ahead and round my 22. I'm going to say 20, all right, times, and I'm going to take that 2 4/10, and I'm actually just going to round it to the nearest one, the nearest whole number, so I'm going to say times 2. All right, gives me approximately 40. All right, so our answer should be somewhere close to 40. All right, now we're going to solve this using the standard algorithm. The way that they have it set up on the side is where they don't include the decimal, because remember, when you are multiplying decimals, you line up the numbers. You don't line up the decimal like when we add and subtract. Okay, so that's why they wrote it like that, where it says 24 tenths times 22. All right, they want you to realize that you're thinking of it as a whole number, even though there really is that little decimal in there, okay? So let's just go ahead and multiply using the standard algorithm, all right? So 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. All right, moving on to my tens place. If I'm multiplying in the tens place, I record in the tens place, so I put a 0 in the ones place. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 2 is 4. All right, when I add these two together, 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. And 4 plus 1 is 5. All right, so we should have gotten 528 as our product. All right. Now, if you think of this as tenths, then we would have to figure out where our decimal goes. You can reason about it, and you can also use that strategy I told you. So again, how many numbers do we have, total digits do we have behind the decimal altogether? We have 1. So that means there's only going to be 1 digit behind the decimal, and you should get 52 and 8/10. Okay? Because you would think of that as 528 tenths. And how do we put that in standard form? Okay. So, moving on to the area model, we are going to set this up as, all right, remember, you draw kind of like a rectangle, all right, and we're going to put our whole number on this side, 22, okay, and then we are going to, since we have 2 digits all together in our decimal, I'm going to create 2 boxes here, all right. So now I'm going to write these out in unit form, okay? So I have 2 ones, and I have 4 tenths, okay? So then we're going to multiply down here. So now we have 22 times 2 ones, all right? And if you don't know what that is off the top of your head, that's totally okay. Just go over off to the side and say, what is 22 times 2? And you get 44. All right, so this is going to be equal to 44 ones, right? We got to make sure we include that unit. Okay, then same thing here. Now I'm going to multiply 22 times 4 tenths. Okay. So now I'm going to say, okay, what's 22 times 4? Right, and same thing, 22 times 4. 8 and 8 gives me 88, but now this is going to be the same as 88 tenths, right? Because we still have that unit. So 88 tenths. Okay, so now I have 44 ones plus 88 tenths. So now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write these answers in standard form. Okay, so 44 ones is the same as 44. All right, and 88 tenths is the same as 8 and 8 tenths. Okay, 8 and 8 tenths. So now I'm going to add these two together. Okay, of course, if you cannot do it this way, then you can totally just come over here and set it up. So 44 plus 8.8, and I'll just go ahead and make this 0.0 so I can add it up, because when we add decimals, we line up the decimal. Okay, 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 4, 12. And 4 plus 1 is 5. So you still get 52 and 8 tenths. All right, show you that up close. You can pause the video if you need to, make corrections, copy it down. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to go ahead and erase this so that I have more room. What do I do with my eraser? All right. Okay, so moving on to B, we have 3 1/10 times 33. And that's going to give us approximately something else. We're going to estimate. Okay, so I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to round 3 1/10 to 3. And I'm going to round 33 to 30. All right. And that's going to give me a product somewhere around 90, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9, and then we have that 10. All right. Now, I'm going to set this up in my standard algorithm again. 30 1/10 times 33. Okay, and then multiply just like I would with any whole number. Okay, 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Right, I'm going to go to the tens place, so put my 0 in the ones place. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. When I add those together, 3 plus 0 is 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 9 plus 1 is 10. So now I have 1,023 tenths, all right? Again, how many digits do I have behind that decimal altogether in the whole problem? And what is 1,023 tenths written as a decimal? we're going to say that's the same as 102 3/10. Okay, 102 3/10. Going over to my area model. Okay, I'm going to put my 33 on this side. I have 2 digits in my decimal, so I'm going to split this in half, and I'm going to write my decimal in unit form. Okay, so in unit form, I have 3 ones plus 1/10. Okay, now I'm just going to multiply like I normally would with the area model, so now I'm going to have 33 times 3 ones. Okay, and again, if you're not sure what that is, that's totally fine. Just come over here and write it off to the side. It's going to give you 99. So now I have 99 ones. Okay, then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to multiply 33 times this 1/10, making sure to include that unit. All right, 33 times 1 is 33 tenths. All right. Now, I'm going to write these in standard form underneath. So 99 ones is the same as 99. And 33 tenths is the same as 3 3/10. All right, so now when I add those up, 99, 3 3/10. That gives me 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 10. So 102 3/10. All right, and what I forgot to do on the last problem is, looking back at our estimation, I can see that our actual answer was pretty close to our estimated answer. Okay? Bring that a little closer so you can see it. All right. So moving on down. All right, now it looks like they're giving us a word problem. Okay. So it says, the weight of 72 identical marbles is 183 6/10 grams. What is the weight of each marble? Explain how you know the decimal point of your quotient is placed reasonably. All right, so we are going to draw a tape diagram first because this is a word problem, so you should have already underlined what you know and what you're trying to find out. All right, so I know that the total weight of these marbles is 183 6/10. 183.6. All right. And again, they told us that this is the weight of 72 marbles. All right. So I'm not going to actually draw 72 boxes, but I can show it like this with the dots with 72. Okay. We know that there are 72 marbles. What we don't know is how much does each marble weigh, right? What is the size of each group? That's what we're trying to find out. So I'm going to put M for marble. All right. That's our unknown. So if I have my whole and I have a part here and I'm trying to find the size of each group, I'm going to divide. All right, so I'm going to set up this division with using the standard algorithm. All right, so I'm going to say 183 6/10 divided by 72. Okay. Now, when I divide decimals, and if I'm dividing a decimal dividend by a whole number divisor, my decimal here goes straight up, okay? I don't have to do anything with the divisor. That's only if there's a decimal in the divisor. So that just means my decimal here is going to go straight up top. I'm not going to move it, okay? And that's the first thing you need to do so you don't forget. Now, I'm just going to divide like normal. Remember our division steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, okay? So I'm going to start with 72. Does 72 go into 1? No. Does it go into 18? No. Does it go into 183? Yes. I also worked this out ahead of time. All right. So if you don't know, please pause the video. Take a few minutes to figure out how many times it goes into 183. If you forgot, you can do that by trial and error. All right. So you could say 72 times 2, 72 times 3, and see how close you can get to 183 without going over. I'm going to trust that you really are going to take the time to stop and do this so that you're not just writing down everything that I say, okay? I really want you guys to make sure that you're practicing your math skills. All right, so you should have said that 72 goes into 183 2 times. All right? 2 times. And then we're going to multiply. 2 times 72 is going to give me 144. All right? After I multiply, I subtract. I can't take 4 from 3, so I'm going to come over to the tens place, borrow from this 8. The 8 becomes a 7, and the 3 becomes a 13. All right? When I subtract 13 minus 4, I'm going to get 9. And then 7 minus 4 is 3. All right? After I finish subtracting, I know that I have to bring down my next number. So now I have 396. And now I start the division process all over again. So how many times does 72 go into 396? Again, stop, figure it out, and then press play when you're ready. Okay? So you should have figured out that 72 goes into 396 5 times. All right? And 5 times 72 is going to give us 360. I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. All right, now I have a remainder. So I want you to think about what we do when we have a remainder when we're dividing decimals. All right, what can we do that we can't always do, that we can't do when we're dividing whole numbers? I know that if I have a decimal here, I can go ahead and add a 0 and then bring that 0 down and see if I can keep dividing without getting without getting a remainder. Okay, so now I see that I need to divide 72 into 360. Well, I just figured this part out. So 72 goes into 360 5 times, and 5 times 72 is 360. When you subtract, you get 0. So your quotient is 2 and 55/100ths. All right. If you want to check your work, we can do that by multiplying the quotient and the divisor. So you could come over here and say 2 and 55/100ths divided by 72. Times 72. I'm sorry. And again, we're lining up those numbers, not the decimal. All right. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 1 is 11. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. All right. Done with these. I'm going to the tens place, so I'll record in the tens place and put a 0 in the ones place. Okay. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 3, 35, 36, 37, 38. All right. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 3, 15, 16, 17. And I don't have anything else to multiply, so I'm going to write 2 big numbers. All right. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 1 is 6. 8 plus 5 is 13. 7 plus 1 is 8. And 1 plus 0 is 1. All right, now I'm going to ask myself, how many total digits do I have behind the decimals in this problem? I have 2. So my answer is my dividend, 183 and 60/100ths. Okay. So, moving on to your exit ticket. All right. Michelle multiplied 3 and 4/10 times 52. She incorrectly wrote 1,768 as her product. Use words, numbers, and or pictures to explain Michelle's mistake. Okay, so I know that if I'm trying to figure out a mistake that someone made on their work, the first thing I'm going to do is solve the problem. Okay, so that I can see what did I get and what did they get and what's the difference. Okay, that's exactly what I do when I'm teaching and I'm looking at your work. I have it on this independent reading packet, but I work out every single problem that I give you guys. When I'm grading your exit tickets, I have my problem worked out in front of me and I have yours so that I can compare. So that's exactly what I want you to do also when you're trying to find someone else's mistake or doing one of those error analysis questions. Okay. So she multiplied 3 and 4/10 times 52. Okay. Remember, we don't worry about that decimal. We're just lining up the numbers. If it's easier for you to leave it out at first, totally fine. So let's just go ahead and multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. All right. In the tens place, 0 in the ones place. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15. Plus 2 is 17. Okay. When I add these together, I get 8. 6 plus 0 is 6. 7 plus 0 is 7. And 1 plus 0 is 1. Okay. So I see that I also got 1,768 like she did. However, I also know that I'm multiplying decimals. So now I have to go and put my decimal in place. All right, so how many total digits do I have behind a decimal here? I have 1, so that means I need to have 1 digit behind the decimal in my answer. So the answer really is 176 and 8/10. All right, so go ahead and write, after you've worked this out correctly, go ahead and write just even one sentence about what did Michelle do incorrectly? What did she forget to do in this case? What did she forget to do? So that she got 1,768 and we got 176 and 8/10. Okay? All right, when you're done, go ahead and move on to number 2. All right, so divide and check your work using multiplication. So we're dividing 36 and 1400ths divided by 13. 36 1400ths divided by 13. All right, so like we learned earlier or talked about earlier, when we have a decimal only in the dividend, that decimal comes straight up. Okay, and now we can just divide like normal. So first thing I do is divide. So 13 goes into 3. No. Does 13 go into 36? Yes. How many times? Again, please pause the video if you haven't worked this out yet so you can try and work it out and then compare your answer to mine. Or just take it each step but still pause it before I give you the answer, okay? So 13 goes into 36 2 times. All right? 2 times 13 is 26. I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 6 is 0. 3 minus 2 is 1. All right, so I have 10. Now I have to bring down that 1. So now I'm going to divide how many times does 13 go into 101? Again, stop. Figure it out. 13 goes into 101 7 times. When I multiply 7 times 13, I get 91. And then I'm going to subtract. 1 minus 1 is 0. I can't take 9 from 0, so I have to go borrow and make this regroup and make it a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. All right. Then I'm going to bring down my 4. Stop. How many times does 13 go into 104? You should have gotten 8 times. 8 times 13 is 104. And when you subtract, you get 0. So the quotient we got is 2 78/100ths. Okay. I'm going to check using multiplication. So I'm going to multiply my quotient by my divisor. And I'm going to say 2 78/100ths times 13. Okay. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 7 is 21. 22, 23. Okay. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. And now I'm done with these. Going to the tens place, recording in the tens place, so that 0 goes in the ones place. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. When I add all this up, I get 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. 8 plus 7. 15 plus 1 is 16. And 2 plus 1 is 3. How many digits do I have behind the decimals in my problem? 2. So this should match your dividend, which is 36 1400ths. All right. Go ahead, pause, whatever you need to do, check your work, copy that down, or make any corrections. Don't forget to send me pictures of your work if you are doing it so I can give you credit for it. Please, please, please make sure you send that. And that's pretty much it. We will pick up on Monday with week 3. Please have a great weekend. Please stay safe. Please wash your hands. Please get some, exercise, some sunshine if you can while staying away from people. I miss you guys. I miss work. It's just me and my cat here, and it gets pretty boring. So thanks for all you're doing. Thank your parents. They're working really hard for you, or whoever is taking care of you right now. And please reach out, call, text, FaceTime, Instagram, whatever you need, if you need anything from me, whether it's school related or not. Okay? Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.